got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole wide world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands.
Welcome back to Ministry of Truth. I am Javi, and I promised you earlier that we were going to go watch some video on Mr. Larry Sinclair, Barack Obama, as well as Tucker Carlson, and a few others. But before we get to the Tucker Carlson interview, obviously, which one everybody might have already seen, might have not already seen, and we also have the interview or the press conference he did 15 years ago. 15 years ago. Let's see if anything in his story from 15 years ago might have changed till now.
Good afternoon. My name is Montgomery Blair Sibley. I'm the attorney for Larry Sinclair, and I just want to give you an overview of how we're going to proceed this afternoon. First, the National Press Club rents space. They do not condone or endorse the views of the people who rent the space. And we've been overwhelmed with people criticizing the National Press Club, and we just want to make it clear, Larry is here because he rented this room, and as a result, he's allowed to get up and say what he wants to say. The National Press Club has nothing to do with that. Mr. Sinclair is going to make a brief statement. You will be provided copies of that statement once he's done. And after that statement, he will entertain any reasonable questions and try to answer them. The procedure for doing that will be this microphone, because we're being recorded and we want to make sure your questions are recorded so that we get a full question and answer for the video that's being made today. I will come around the room. I will not give you the microphone, but I will hold the microphone so you can ask your questions. And at the end of that statement, at the end of the questions, Larry will be leaving the room. With that said, Mr. Sinclair, the microphone is yours.
Good afternoon. First thing I'd like to do is thank a very personal thank you to Reverend Pastor James David Manning for showing up, for his support. Thank you so much for being here. It means a great deal. Good afternoon. My name is Larry Sinclair. I'm a former recreational drug user, drug trafficker, and I'm a convicted felon for crimes of forgery, bad checks, and theft by check. But I'm also an American citizen. I love this country, and I cannot stay silent regarding Barack Obama, knowing what I know. Today, I will discharge my obligation as a citizen to witness this knowledge to you and raise questions for others to investigate and consider. I'm going to briefly describe my background and experiences with Senator Obama. In 1999, what appears to me to be a coordinated effort to discredit me, and finally a list of questions. After this brief statement, I will take and try to answer any reasonable questions. Please understand, I will respect your questions and try to answer them. I will not be disrespected, nor will you.
Damn.
My background, I'm 46 years old and I currently reside in Duluth, Minnesota. I am a U.S. citizen. I've made mistakes in my lifetime. I have been convicted and served prison sentences for writing bad checks, forging checks, using stolen credit card numbers in Arizona, Florida, and Colorado.
All around crook.
These events occurred over 20 years ago, between 1980 and 1986. After going public on the internet with these claims against Senator Obama, earlier this year, I became aware of a warrant out of Florida, dated from 1986, which I have resolved, and it has now been dismissed. I also have an active Colorado-only warrant for alleged theft and forgery. I am not ignoring this warrant, but am addressing it with the court in Colorado as well as with the district attorney's office. I have a pending motion to dismiss this warrant, which I am waiting to have calendared by the Colorado court. I have lived and worked under 3 different legal names. My birth name is Lawrence Wayne Sinclair. Later on, I had my name legally changed first to Lorai A. Silvas.
What?
And later to Lorai Vizcarra Avila. Both name changes were conducted legally in the Pinal County Superior Court, Florence, Arizona. I legally returned to my birth name in the Fremont County District Court, Canyon City, Colorado in the year of 1997. In regards to the Obama incident, I flew out of Colorado Springs, Colorado to Chicago on November 2nd, 1999, arriving in O'Hare early in the morning of November 3rd. I went to the Chicago area to attend the graduation of my godson, my best friend's son, from basic training from the Great Lakes Navy Training Facility. I made reservations at the Comfort Inn and Suites in Gurnee, Illinois, based solely on the location to the training center. On November 5th, 1999, I hired the services of 5-Star Limousine. Excuse me. I had hired them both for November 5th and November 6th of 1999. On November 6, 1999, I asked the limo driver, whose name I now reveal for the first time, Jagir Paramit Mutani, if he knew anyone who would like to socialize and show me Chicago. One note, there's a typo on the statement that you will get at the end of the statement. We will put an updated and corrected version on a website that you will also be given access to, as far as the name is concerned. Mr. Mutani understood that I was looking for someone who knew Chicago and would enjoy socializing. Mr. Mutani said he knew someone who was a friend of his. On November 6, 1999, after picking me up at the hotel in Gurnee, and this is significant, Mr. Mutani used his cell phone to make a call. That call was made to then Illinois State Senator Barack Obama to set up an introduction between myself and Senator Obama. Upon arriving at the bar and exiting the limo, Senator Obama was standing next to Mr. Mutani, and I was introduced to Senator Obama by name. Later that evening in a bar, which I believe was called Alibis, and I state believe because I have failed so far to get Citigroup to provide the credit card receipts that has the actual name. I mentioned I could use a line or two to wake up. Senator Obama asked me if I was referring to Coke, and I stated I was. After stating I was, Obama stated he could purchase cocaine for me and then made a telephone call. This too is significant, from a cell phone to a presently unknown individual, during which Senator Obama arranged the cocaine purchase. Senator Obama and I then departed the bar in my limousine and proceeded to an unknown location where Senator Obama exited the limousine with $250, which was provided to him by me. Returned a short while later with an 8-ball of cocaine, which he gave to me. I did ingest a couple of lines of cocaine, and shortly thereafter, Senator Obama produced a glass cylinder pipe and packet of crack cocaine from his pocket. Obama then smoked the crack cocaine. I performed fellatio on Senator Obama in the limousine during the time Senator Obama was smoking crack cocaine, after which I had the driver take me to my hotel, the Comfort Suites, Gurnee, Illinois.
Well, gay gangs.
The following day, November 7th, 1999, Senator Obama appeared at my hotel room, unannounced, uninvited, where we again ingested cocaine, and I again performed fellatio on Senator Obama.
Yeah, this is Gary Sinclair from 20.
Significantly, both the driver's telephone call to Senator Obama and his call to the drug dealer should appear on the driver's and Senator Obama's cell phone billing statements.
Yeah, it's 15 years ago, right?
In the fall of 2007, September 2007, I contacted the presidential campaign of Barack Obama to request solely that Senator Obama publicly correct his stated drug use record to to reflect his use of crack cocaine with me in November of 1999. When I made the first contact, I left with the presidential campaign of Senator Obama.
But it's funny you should say that. I think he goes over, I'm not sure if it's here or in the Tucker interview, how the dude that originally told him that investigation or something was coming, that dude ended up dead in a mysterious
a telephone number for the campaign to return my call. The first number I provided was a Texas cell phone number. From the period of Labor Day weekend 2007 through November 18th of 2007, I did provide a total of 4 different callback numbers to the Obama campaign. As I had moved and I had changed the numbers to reflect locally my place of residence at the time. In late September to early October, excuse me, I lost my place here. In late September to early October 2007, I received a call from a male who identified himself as a Mr. Young,
Here we go.
stating he was calling in regards to calls I had made to the Obama campaign. This first call was in fact an attempt by Mr. Young to obtain from me the identities of anyone I contacted concerning my 1999 allegations against Senator Obama. This first call shocked me in that this Mr. Young asked me why I had, excuse me, why I had never mentioned to the
Trying to poison him?
shocked me as I had never, whoa, hold on, so I'm lost here.
Yeah.
Thanks. Because this is getting, I can't even see it.
Mind if I do?
The first call was in fact an attempt by Mr. Young to obtain from me the identities of anyone I contacted concerning my 1999 allegations against Senator Obama. The first call shocked me in that this Mr. Young asked me why I had not asked Senator Obama to disclose the sexual encounters I had with Mr. Obama in 1999. I was shocked as I had never mentioned to the campaign or anyone working for the campaign any sexual encounters, as my call was prompted by drug allegations only. The call ended with Mr.
Oh, so it's going to be like that. They broke this part up into 5. I couldn't get it all together because this is a hard ass fucking thing to find. I still can't find the interview with Dinesh because that interview with Dinesh was fucking crazy too. I think it's before
Dinesh hear from someone in a few days. In mid to late October 2007, I received a second call from this Mr. Young, at which time I clearly became aware that this individual was personally involved with Senator Obama rather than just an employee of his campaign. The tone of the conversation had a sexual nature. Mr. Young did not once advise me how he obtained my phone number, which by this time had now changed to a Delaware number. In late October 2007, I received a text message from the gentleman identified as Mr. Young, in which he stated he was intimately involved with Senator Obama, and that Obama was discussing with him and his pastor how to publicly acknowledge Senator Obama's drug use in 1999, and that Obama wanted to be sure I had not discussed the sexual encounters or drug incidents with any media at that time. In mid to late November 2007, in another text message from Mr. Young, he advised me that Senator Obama will publicly correct his statement as to the last time he used drugs, and I did not need to concern myself with publicly disclosing it myself. The last contact I had with Mr. Young was in early December 2007, when he made it clear to me that Senator Obama had no intentions of publicly acknowledging his 1999 use of crack cocaine, and that Mr. Young was in fact doing nothing more than milking information from me for Senator Obama's use. I later learned that A. Donald Young, the choir director of Reverend Wright's Trinity United Church of Christ, Obama's now former church, and who was openly homosexual, learned that he was murdered on December 23rd of 2007.
What?
I have cooperated with the Chicago Police Department in this matter by providing them the telephone numbers I was using during the fall of 2007. And I release them now publicly in the hope that someone may be able to connect the dots between these telephone numbers and Mr. Young. Those numbers are 954-758. Actually, that should be 956. That's another typo. 956-758-1105. 956-758-1885. 956-758-8002, 302-685-7175, 612-466-1043.
I think those numbers are still active.
In what I now realize was a naive and uncounseled decision, I posted in January 2008 a video on YouTube where I related the above information regarding my liaisons with Senator Obama in 1999. The response was overwhelming, and I quickly became the recipient of what in hindsight appears to have been a coordinated attack on my character, with ever-increasing falsehoods circulating on the internet. In response, I agreed to take a polygraph test sponsored by whitehouse.com. The results of that test have been partially revealed to the end of labeling me a liar and taken as gospel by all. I'd like to make the following comments about that polygraph test. First, I have been subsequently advised that whitehouse.com was a website dedicated to anti-Clinton pornography until earlier this year. In fact, until January of 2008, to be exact. Second, I have now come to understand that lie detectors are junk science at best, which is why courts of law refuse to use them. Third, a review of the results by a George W. Matchik, PhD of antipolygraph.org, raises serious questions about the legitimacy of this particular examination. Indeed, overlooked by almost everyone is that whitehouse.com's own examiner, Dr. Gordon Barlin, Salt Lake City, Utah, observed that on the drug question regarding Senator Obama, that the computerized score found that there was less than 1% probability of deception by me. That's about as high a passing score as one could possibly obtain. Finally, in February 2008, I was told anonymously that Dan Parisi of whitehouse.com received $750,000 from the Obama campaign through David Axelrod's AKP Media and Message One, or Message and Media, I think, to organize an effort to publicly discredit me. When I confronted Dan Parisi with this allegation, he did not deny it, but instead withdrew the second exonerating polygraph report of Dr. Gordon Barlin, failed to post the video of my polygraph as he and whitehouse.com promised they would do, and even removed posts from their website altogether, claiming that I had had enough of the attacks by Sinclair supporters and Sinclair himself, quote unquote. The polygraph results as misrepresented were immediately seized upon by the blogger community, and I became the subject of vicious lies about me. I was forced to file a lawsuit in an attempt to stop those lies about me that had been circulating. That lawsuit sought to obtain the proof of what I was saying about my contact with Senator Obama through subpoenas for the identities of the anonymous bloggers, so they could be linked to the Obama campaign and relevant records of the cell phone companies to prove the truth of my allegations. To date, though the lawsuit is now over 90 days old, Judge Henry Kennedy has refused to permit the suit to move forward so this evidence may be obtained. In conclusion, in sum, you can discredit my story, and then you can make your decision on who should be next president of the United States. The burden is now off of me, as I have told my story without the distortions that have been intentionally heaped on me, and what my lawyer tells me is an ad hominem attack. Shoot the messenger so you don't have to hear the message he is bringing. I'm now done. It's for others to find the corroborating evidence of my story by locating the limousine driver, Mr. Mutani, by checking the telephone numbers related to Donald Young and Senator Obama. I leave you with these questions that I've asked of Senator Obama, but in which he, of course, refuses to answer. Who wants to be the next president of the United States? Has refused to answer. Number one, why won't Senator Obama provide his cell phone numbers and telephone records for all his personal and official cell phones held by him for the time period of no more than November 3rd through November 8th of 1999, when we met?
That's racist and against the Patriot
Why
Act.
won't Senator Obama provide his cell phone numbers and telephone records for all his personal and official cell phones held by Senator Obama for September 2007 through December 23rd of 2007, the murder of Donald Young? 3, why won't Senator Obama provide all email communication, both personal and campaign related to and or from AKP Media and Message from January 18th, 2008 through February 29th of 2008 for Senator Obama, David Axelrod, and David Plouffe? 4th, why won't Senator Obama provide proof of all payments made from AKP Media, Obama for America, David Axelrod, David Plouffe, and Senator Obama's accounts for the period of January 18th, 2008 through February 29th of 2008? On a website that we posted today, larrysinclair.org, you will find the documents that I have referred to in the statement. A copy of the homepage for that website is attached. And Mark's going to be passing them out. Thank you for the time and your attention this afternoon, and I will now take any questions.
Yeah, we're not taking any questions. The only questions that we're going to take are the one that Tucker Carlson's going to ask them. So far, what do y'all think? Well, let me go to Rumble. They don't comment over there. Sounds legit. I didn't realize there was 2 polygraph tests that were done by a porn company. But that porn company got paid $750,000 not to run it. So it's a win-win, right, for Barack and the porn company, but not for Mr. Larry Sinclair, the drug trafficker. So that's press conference 15 years ago. Let's see what happened with his interview with Tucker more recently.
Amazing that Barack Obama got as far as he did. In 2004, the summer of 2004, Barack Obama gave the keynote address to the Democratic Convention in Boston. And when he walked to the podium, probably only a small percentage of people in the room knew how to pronounce his name. He was totally unheard of. No one knew Barack Obama at the time.
Yeah, kind of like Vivek Ramaswamy.
He was a state senator in Illinois. 4 years later, he once again spoke to the Democratic Convention, but this time as the nominee. Meteoric doesn't begin to describe it. How did this happen? Well, the outlines are fairly well known, though rarely talked about. A small group of Democratic donors, mostly in Chicago, decided that Barack Obama was their guy. He was the vessel for their ambitions. They paid for his campaign. They paved the way for his rise. He spent 2 years pointlessly in the United States Senate preparing to run for president in 2008. And of course, in the end, he won. But the question was, who was this man? Where did he come from? What did he spend his life doing before he became president of the United States?
Where did he come from?
Well, the news media, whose job it is to answer those questions, spent the entire 2008 campaign trying to keep you from knowing the answers. By election day, most Americans knew only one thing about Barack Obama, other than he was handsome and a good communicator.
That he won?
Hope and change. But they knew nothing about him, his origins, what he believed, and legitimate questions about those facts were turned away, as they often are, with the claim, "That's a conspiracy theory. You're crazy. Shut up." One of the most interesting moments in the 2008 campaign occurred when a man, like Obama himself, came from out of nowhere to recount his experiences with Barack Obama, the man. His name was Larry Sinclair, and he told an amazing story. He said that in 1999, he had encountered Barack Obama in Illinois,
all it really is.
had sex with Barack Obama, and then used cocaine with him. Sinclair went on to make these claims publicly at the National Press Club in Washington, to sign a sworn affidavit, and to take a lie detector test. But he was dismissed. In fact, he was attacked. Obama shills like Ben Smith of Politico batted the claims out without refuting them. They're absurd. And the rest of the media followed suit. But the claims weren't absurd. We're not claiming they're true.
There you go.
But they were certainly credible. This was a firsthand account of Barack Obama's behavior by someone who was willing to sign a sworn affidavit to that effect. So the question is, whatever happened to Larry Sinclair? What's his life been like since? That's an interesting story. It turns out Larry Sinclair is still alive. He lives in Mexico. But today, he's in our studio. And we're happy to have him. Larry Sinclair, thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me.
Where did you meet Barack Obama?
It was by accident. I was in the Chicago area.
It's the old man from fucking Family Guy. No way.
In 99 for Lee Duke's graduation from the Naval Academy.
Who's Lee Duke?
He's basically my godson.
Okay.
I had hired a limousine service.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Did you live in Chicago then?
No. I was actually living in Colorado. I had flown in the night before.
Okay.
So I had hired a limousine service, had made the driver aware that if Lee couldn't leave the base, because once they graduate, some of them actually get their assignments and they're shipping out and they can't leave the base, that I was still interested in going out. And had asked the driver if he knew anybody that was available that might want to show me, Chicago. And he said he did. So
Who was the driver?
his name was Jameer Multani. It was with 5-star limo.
So you're just a guy who's in town for the night, and it sounds like you're looking to party, actually. Yeah,
That's
what you're really saying.
Yeah. Well, I was in town for a few nights, but yeah, I was definitely looking to party. And
Did you make that clear to the driver?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There was no misunderstanding.
How direct were you about that?
Extremely.
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 Okay.
Yeah. There was no doubt what I was looking for.
Okay.
And he picked me up at my hotel in Gurney and drove into Chicago, pulled up in a bar outside, and there's this guy that's introduced to me as Barack Obama. It was literally that casual.
Had you ever heard of him?
No.
Did the driver know him?
Yep. The driver definitely knew him because the driver said that he was a friend.
Interesting. How would the driver be friends with Barack Obama?
I only found out later, dealing with a reporter from Bloomberg News, that apparently the limousine company had been doing business with Tony Resco, that at the time was somehow affiliated with
in
Barack
Obama's
Obama.
orbit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting. So he knew Barack Obama, and in his view, Barack Obama liked the same kind of partying you were looking for.
Yeah.
Okay. So sex and drugs, in other words.
The sex part I wasn't so sure about until, of course, you make your move, but it became obvious very quick. The coke part I thought was interesting because of the way that I had brought it up.
So I'm stepping on your story. So you pull up, and I apologize. So you pull up to this bar. The driver is basically scouting some dude for you to hang out with.
Correct.
There's this guy, Barack Obama. Have you ever heard of Barack Obama?
Never. Okay. Never. We're having drinks. I mentioned the fact that I could use something to wake up. I was extremely exhausted.
So you went into the bar?
Yes, sir.
What kind of bar was it?
I'm trying to remember. I've been trying to remember the name. I know that the glasses had 3 X's on them, because I remember taking one home for a friend of mine.
But I mean, generally characterize it. Was it
working
class bar,
no,
gay
it was
bar,
upscale,
strip bar?
It was upscale, quiet. Wasn't really that really didn't have a lot of energy to it. It was more relaxed, more like a lounge as opposed to somewhere where people would go and get loud and crazy.
Yeah.
Which made it easier to talk. But like I said, when I brought up the fact that I could use something to wake up, he immediately knew what I was referring to, had made it clear that I was looking for Coke, and I
Coca-Cola
really was, and had made the suggestion that he knew where we could get it, and we left to go get it.
Interesting. Did he say what he did?
They're in a hotel. Can't they just go to the vending machine? Well, sure there's Coke there.
Did for a living?
Nope. I had no idea that he was a representative in the Illinois House. I had no idea he was in politics. I just knew that he was supposedly married and at the time was going through some issues with the marriage.
He said that?
That was made clear. Yeah.
Huh. Did he say what kind of issues?
No.
Do you remember? No. So you said, I'm looking for someone to wake up. He knows you're referring to cocaine. I know where to get it. What happens next?
We get back in the limo. The driver takes us wherever it is that Barack had instructed him to take us. I had given Barack $250 to pay for Coke. He gets out, comes back. I start putting a line on a CD tray to snort.
And you're in the limo.
Yep.
Driving or parked?
No, the driver's driving.
Yeah.
I start to put a line on a CD tray, and I just happen to notice that he pulls something else out of his pocket. And next thing I know, he's got a little pipe and he's smoking. So I don't have an issue with it. I mean, some people smoke, some people snort.
Smoking the cocaine?
Yes. So as I'm doing a line,
wait till you're
Tucker's
there at the end.
This is the part where you kind of make your move to see where things are going. So I just started rubbing my hand along his thigh to see where it was going, and it went the direction I had intended it to go.
So the night became somewhat active sexually and drug-wise in the limo.
So you hit on him. Did he seem shocked by that?
Not at all.
Yeah. I mean, if you're smoking crack with a stranger in the back of a limo, like, you got to imagine things might go crazy places.
Well, not only imagine it, I look at it this way. I've done a lot of crazy things in my lifetime. I'm a pretty good judge of character, and I pretty much know whether or not I can move in a certain direction with an individual. I didn't feel that I was going in the wrong direction. I just wasn't so sure how much I could trust the individual at first. And that was probably one of my bigger concerns. But the fact that I was
basically he's
already
saying that
becoming
you wouldn't
somewhat
give up
buzzed,
then your random dude will. Then your random dude till he was high.
you kind of throw caution to the wind.
You weren't sure you could trust the individual. What does that mean?
When you meet someone out of the blue and you go to a level that you're doing drugs with, or you're giving money to purchase drugs, or even for sexual activity, you have to be sure that you can trust them. And when I say trust, I mean that you're not going to end up being robbed, or that you're not going to end up having a knife stuck into you, from one direction or another, or that you're not going to pull up somewhere and all of a sudden the car door is going to open and you got 5 people pulling you out of it.
Totally.
That's what I mean when I say trust someone.
And you've been around at this point in your life, big time.
Yeah.
Right. So probably not your first time in a situation like this.
Not at all. And that's why I said I pretty much know where I can go and at what point.
So you start rubbing his leg, and I think, I was be totally blunt with you, like a man who's not into gay sex would be like, whoa, settle down.
Trust me, if it was something that you were not interested in, and you're right, I've had guys that I read wrong that would literally try to break your hand.
For sure.
If you went in that route. So it's not like this was something that he wasn't into. It's not something that he was shocked by. Shocked by, you don't get excited and you don't unbutton your pants and you don't just sit there and let it happen. So it definitely wasn't Barack's first time. That much I'm absolutely certain of.
Obviously, it wasn't his last time.
And I would almost be willing to bet you it wasn't his last.
So, so you performed oral sex on Barack Obama. You did. In the driver's up front.
Yep.
And he's cool with this.
The driver has the partition up. He didn't have a problem with it. He didn't put it down for any reason.
I mean, he kind of set up the whole thing for this in the first place.
Exactly. And I have a funny feeling he had no bones to pick with it as far as what took place.
So what happened after?
Afterwards, I actually went back to my hotel. I had specifically asked that he drop Barack off first, but for some reason, he and Barack chose that they would drop me off at the hotel first, and then he would take Barack. So Barack actually made the drive out to Gurnee, which is a suburb outside of Chicago, to the hotel for me to be dropped off.
What hotel was it?
It was the Comfort Inn in Gurnee.
Ooh, that sounds depressing.
Well, you have to remember it was 99.
Yeah.
And it was close to the Great Lakes Naval facilities.
Yeah.
But I got dropped off. They left. The next day was somewhat interesting because he ends up showing up at my hotel room, which I thought was somewhat weird, but
he wanted some more.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say he showed up,
he showed up. I mean, I had no warning.
He got more coke.
I was in the room. There's a knock on the door. I opened the door, and he's standing there. And he's standing there with more coke. And he comes in, and it was just like a quick, rehash or rerun.
Shots. Just saying, especially with those teeth missing.
From the night before.
Exact same program.
Exact same program.
Was he smoking again?
Yep.
So Barack Obama smokes crack, and then you perform oral sex on him.
And like I said, the only reason I had come out about it is I had reached out to the campaign even in 2007, only because I saw all these kids getting excited about it.
Okay, wait. So how did that end? Like
same way. You get off, you finish smoking, you leave.
Here
Like,
it comes.
thanks, bye.
Mhm.
Huh. What did you think of him?
I thought it was interesting. I thought he was definitely a con. But
What do you mean by that?
well, in my life at that point, you made it clear I had already been around.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Around the block, yeah.
So you know when people are doing things because they actually really enjoy it, or they're sincere, or they're looking, for
Yeah.
a connection, or they're doing something because they're looking for an in, or they're looking for a hook, or it's a game.
Yeah.
So for me, I felt that it was a game for him. It was like, okay, what am I going to get out of it? Or is there something I can get out of it other than just, the sexual part?
Right.
And lucky for me, I wasn't going back to Chicago anytime soon. So it really didn't matter.
So you were left
Here it comes.
with a bad taste in your mouth.
Just something. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you talk to him again?
I did not. In fact,
And did you have any idea, even though you had sex with him twice, you did cocaine with him, watched him smoke crack twice, you had no idea who he was?
I had no idea who he was until I'm sitting in my house in Tequila, Nayarit, Mexico in 2004. And he walked on that stage
In Boston.
in the DNC convention. And I literally hit the floor. I just hit the floor and was.
Wait, so you're watching the Democratic convention from Mexico?
I was
and the guy that smoked crack in your comfort inn with you?
I was laughing so hard.
And you were sure it was him?
I was absolutely positive.
How?
I don't forget people I've met. I don't forget people I have spent time with. I just don't.
And just to restate,
I
because
don't
I think
believe
you
that.
affirmed this, but he used his real name when you were with him.
Yes,
Did he call himself Barack or Barry?
Barack.
Barack.
And so did the driver. And that's why at first, when everybody was referring to him as Barry, I just didn't understand or catch on. Because like I said, I didn't know that much about him other than the fact that, hey, you hook up, today it's Grinder. Back then it was,
The limo driver.
yeah, a limo driver or a bartender, you ask and somebody knows somebody or somebody doesn't.
Amazing. Amazing. So you're sitting there in Mexico watching this and you think, that's the guy I had sex with who smoked crack it with me.
Yep.
And what do you think?
Like I said, I just started cracking up. I freaked out. I had even pointed out to some friends of mine that were at the house that night. And I told them, I said, you're not going to believe this. I said, I blew this guy twice,
Oh, I mean,
and they just start cracking up. But that's the thing about me. I've never been in the closet. I've never hid. I mean, I'm always very direct and blunt.
remember that being.
And,
Imagine
and
that
I'm
being
just
your
like, this is unreal, and I had no idea that he was going to run, in 2008, but I was back from Mexico, but it was a strange feeling sitting there watching him walk across that stage and realizing who he was.
Huh. So what did you do? You said you reached out to the campaign?
Well, I didn't do anything in 2004, but when he announced his run for 2008, I did reach out to the campaign in late 2007 because I had seen a lot of these college kids talking about how thrilled they were, how there was a candidate who was completely honest about his entire life, his drug use, what he did is when he was in school, the constant back and forth. 1 minute is, yes, I did cocaine when I was younger, or no, I never did cocaine, but I smoked weed. So I just simply pointed out that all I was asking was, look, why don't you just simply come out and say, I did coke and I've done it as recently as 1999. Just tell the truth. Put it out there and be honest and let it stay as the truth rather than this back and forth. Never did hear anything back from them immediately.
Who did you reach out to? Do you remember?
I reached out to actually David Axelrod's office in Chicago. I'm trying to remember the letters because it was actually 3 letters.
And did you say I had sex with Barack Obama?
This is the interesting part. My first contact with the campaign never mentioned the sex whatsoever.
Mhm.
That was actually brought to my attention by someone who eventually reached out to me in late 2007, claiming to be with the campaign, but wasn't with the campaign.
What do you mean that was pointed out to you? So you never told
I
anyone in the
never,
Obama campaign you had sex with Barack
not
Obama?
in 2007, no.
Interesting. But they knew?
Yep.
How? Who? Well, that's
I'm-
weird.
I'm assuming Barack himself, because the phone calls that I got in late 2007 came from a gentleman that I have repeatedly identified as Donald Young. And it was Donald Young who had mentioned to me that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna have to cut it here, and I will continue this on a later date. Getting kind of migraine and it's not feeling too good, so not telling y'all how to think. I'm sorry to cutting this short, but want to go see the video? It's everywhere. Just telling y'all to think, and sorry about that, but at the same time, I'm not. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen.